Aloha, everybody. This is Matt Sumstein. We're talking about girls flag football at the NFHS level, and this is the fifth training video in the YouTube series for the 2026 season. This one is kind of split up into two different sections. The first 25 minutes is really relative to the officials and their mechanics and a four-person mechanic. The second 20 minutes after that is really digging into some of the rules that we have to deal with in flag football. That's an excellent section for the coaches and the players to watch, but the first 25 minutes is really more designed for officials and mechanics. Hope you enjoy it, get something out of it, and as always, let me know if you have any questions.
We're going to start out with some mechanics. So this is really coverage mechanics. Let me see if I have an annotate button in here. Oh, I do. Yeah, okay. So as you can see, let me just go ahead and pull this back a little bit. As you can see at the beginning of this play. So we're lined up here at about the 13-yard line. And I know that this is somewhat deceptive because the number says 20. And when teams bring out the numbers, when we're on a shorter field, don't let them put a 30 on the 30. Make sure that we have a 20 on the 30, because that's how we reference where we are relative to these zone to gains. So when you work these fields, if the administration mistakenly brings out 30s, even though it says 30 here, we want the 20 here so that our timers and our field officials can easily look at those triangular pylons and determine where we are in the field. So you can see we're here at the 13-yard line-ish with a snap here. So the headline judge here has the offensive line of scrimmage. The line judge here has the defensive line of scrimmage. So we want this line judge to be lined up 1 yard beyond our snap point. So if we're snapping at the 20, it looks like the 12, then he would be at the 13, which is exactly where he is. So we do want to make sure that we maintain this initial position for normal scrimmage plays that don't involve a line to gain issue for down and distance or a goal line type of situation. So this is absolutely perfect. What I do want to discuss here a little bit is this box right here. This needs to be clear. And we let it go in the preseason a little bit with some prior knowledge, but it is absolutely critical that we keep that area clear and that we hit it early and we let the coaching staffs know that we're going to hit it early. Well, you can give a verbal warning first, then you throw a flag warning, then it's a 5-yarder, then it's a 10-yarder, and if there's two 10-yarders, the coach is disqualified. We really don't want to get to that point, and I don't think we would if we hit them early. We talk to them about the policy, and we make sure that we adhere to it consistently from field to field. And the problem's going to be if we administer it one day at one field one way and the next day at another field another way, then we're going to run into problems with consistency. And the only way to manage this area is with consistency. So I need everybody to step up and take care of that aspect of the game. So we've got a line judge here. We do not want the line judge looking in the backfield for blocks. We only want the line judge to be on the wide receiver. We want the headline judge to be on the widest receiver. And our back judge is taking these center receivers as they come out. Now, we may have some transitions. We may have some crossing routes, and we might have to switch. We just have to deal with that. That's what we do in all of football. But we do need to make sure we're watching the receivers. And one of the things that is becoming clear as I look at video is if we have an official, let's just say here, they spend too much time looking back here, seeing what the quarterback's doing. So when we have receivers downfield, we look for the first problem. Where's the first problem going to come up? Where's our first contact? Is there anybody, who's closer to the line of scrimmage that might create some contact? Then we check the quarterback. What's the quarterback doing? Then we come back to our receivers. But we do not need to move downfield. The two wing officials in normal scrimmage play just hold that line of scrimmage. Because if the let's just hypothetically say the quarterback runs this way. If the quarterback runs that way, then this official needs to make a decision. Am I going to get out of the way this way, or am I going to get out of the way back? And because we have a back judge, if you go to three-man mechanic, totally different. But because we have a back judge, typically it's back so that you can get behind the action, so that you can maintain a good flow on the sideline, so you don't have to be swivel heading it by once they come this way, look this way, look this way, look this way. And it just distorts everything that you see. So if the quarterback comes at you, try to back out of that action so that you can get out of the way.
Matt, real quick.
Yes.
When you want that box clear, the restricted area clear, is when the center comes to the ball, correct?
Once the center addresses the ball. So hand on the ball.
Okay. I just want to be clear on
that. And if you want to do it early, if she's over the ball and you say, okay, the center's addressed the ball, please clear the restricted area, that's fine. You know, the earlier the better. We don't want people trying to ding us around with that, with the timing of that. Our first real threat is right here. And as we already discussed, it's going to be the line of scrimmage person on this side. So I'm going to go ahead and run it all the way through. We have a pass. It's incomplete. You can see the back judge coming in. We don't want our wing officials looking away from the field. So if you're going to walk back or you're going to jog back, just go ahead and maintain visual contact with the player. So here's another one. You can see our first contact areas are potentially here. There's nobody here. These players are all back. So really it's just here. Let me pull up an arrow here. It's just here and here that we have any kind of issue whatsoever. There's obviously the referee is going to have this whole area here with the rushers and the blockers, but other than that, really the only thing we have are two receivers who potentially could be contacting. So as the play develops, you can see that there's a pass that goes. Pass is now released. At this point, we want our wings releasing. This one a little bit earlier, but we want you to hold until we can see that that quarterback has cranked up her arm and ready to go. So a little early here and probably a little late here. Once the ball's going deep, we want you to move down. If it's coming into your side zone, we don't want you to move down. We want you to play it like you would to keep yourself safe. But our impact area is going to be right here. So once this play develops, we know where the ball's coming. So we need to adjust our visual stance to that area. We're going to come right here. We're going to come right here. We're going to come right here. Referee's got backfield stuff. The referee's not going to be there. But we need everybody else to be there so that we can judge on what potentially could happen here as far as contact or play or anything else that might come up. So you can see that the defender comes in. There may be some contact here. And very likely through the back. You have to be available to answer that question. If a coach says, hey, why did you let her play through the back? We have to be able to say, she slid around, she didn't contact her in the back. But if she does contact her in the back, plays through the back, it's not going to be pass interference because the ball is already there. But what it will be is illegal contact. And if it's illegal contact, play through the back, then it's going to be 10 yards previous spot because this was incomplete. And because it's illegal contact, playing through the back, there will be an automatic first down. The other thing is, because this is an incomplete pass, and the referee is going to get the ball relayed to them by the players typically, we need our wing officials to hustle back and give him a spot so that when he walks up to the center of the field, he's not looking for it. He can just put it down and we can go. Okay, this is a little bit different look. As you can see, the 10-yard marker here is our goal line. So we are actually at the 12-yard line. If we're inside the 20, if we're at the 20, let's just say we're outside the 20, then it's okay for the back judge to be on the goal line. But if we're inside the 20 to the, let's say even the 10, then you need to at least be midway in the end zone, because we don't want you getting caught up and tripping over things and not knowing where you are relative to the field. And if somebody drives you back, you're going to be looking for a spot for safety. So if you're outside the 20, you can line up at the goal line. If you're inside the 20 to the 10, or even the 15, go midway. But at some point, you're going to have to take that end line. So back judges, don't trap yourself here. You're going to get receivers come into you pretty quick, and you're not going to like the result of that. All right, so we got a pass right here. Our line judge did a pretty good job of staying put. But when you have a catch here, the first thing we want to do is back out so that we have room to come in. And I realize the goal line is here, but because the catch is so shallow, if the back judge starts midway, back judge can step up and get that goal line. But we have to be thinking. It's just a quick pull. We come back, give the spot. We want the downfield foot to mark it. We're looking for whole yard lines, unless it's a pull very close to a line to gain, or a goal line, or you're inside the 5. Then you can just spot it where it is. But otherwise, we want whole yard lines because that's what helps us set up the defense for that 1 yard neutral zone.
Us to move that G way back from that area there?
I do. Yeah, this is too tight. At this field, I move these pylons off the end line. We do not put pylons on the end line at the hash marks. If they have pylons out there, get them off the end line. It's just an obstruction for you. But yes, we want these goal line pylons moved back. These short plays, the referee's going to come up, look for the ball, look for officials, just put the ball down. Once the ball's down, that's when we want our 25-second clock to start. I notice that some people aren't lining it up, or they're not chopping it if we want a 25-second clock to run. We should be chopping for a 25-second clock, and it should be as soon as the ball's put down. This is a pretty long run, and you can see a line to gain is in play. I'm just going to let this run because I got another 50% speed of it coming out. So this is where we're starting. You can see that the line to gain is right here. On the marked 30 should be the 20. So this is the line to gain. It's first down. We have a long gain. We have a catch here up top. And our officials are starting to move down, which is great. Now, our ball is here. So this official who's on the offside, probably a little bit far back. This official's okay, but if they start to pinch in on you, then you need to pull back a little bit. But a mechanic that we discussed earlier is when we have a play that's this far downfield, so we went from here all the way to here, then our back judge is going to spot that ball. So our wing officials come in, give them a spot, the back judge spots the ball. This wing official is going to be coming down, so our box person is all alone. This is the instance where our referee, and correctly so in this case, brings the box person down. So I'm going to go ahead and show that because this is a really well done mechanic. So just keep an eye on the referee here. And also the back judge spots the ball. The referee's looking at the box, knows we have a first down. So he looks over to the box operator and says, hey, we have a first down. And he signals it, and he's looking right at him. So that's the mechanic we want because our headline judge is already downfield and working the spot. So this is a call for encroachment on the defense. Look at this. So you can see this official's trying to talk him back. The ball is right here on the edge. You can see that they're hanging over the edge of the 1 yard. So this is encroachment on the defense and correctly called. But we want to make sure we get our penalty mechanics right. So once we have an encroachment foul, you can see just drops the foul. We want the flag to come up. So order of occurrence, whistle, flag, clock. So we don't stop the clock here, but we should because it's a penalty and we do stop the clock on penalties. So whistle, flag, clock, then you give your preliminary signal, which he's giving now, and point a direction. Ideally, what we want is as soon as you have it, whistle, flag, clock, you're jogging in this direction to give this signal. And once you give that signal, point which direction it is, because it could be on either team, and that way we know what we're going to do with the ball. If you can help because you're coming in, While the referee gives the signal, go move the ball, just go move the ball if you can help. But typically in these pre-snap fouls, the referee is going to do both. But if you're coming in, if you're charging with your signal, don't turn around. Go right back to the ball and take that and start marking off your 5 yards. And the referee can give the signal, then you come back and we're all set. Head linesman, if you know that, if you see all his signals, just go and tell him where to stop. So he knows where to stop, and then once he stops, he can back out. So we just need to understand that we work as a team. Nobody is individually responsible for picking up the ball and marking it off, but in this situation, that's the order of occurrence that would work. PAT mechanic. A PAT only has one of two results, successful or unsuccessful. So ideally, we have a clear concept of what we need to cover. And what we need to cover is right here. Excellent job. If we are going for a PAT, we want the line judge on that goal line. So what that means is that the head line judge is going to have two lines. So since you have two lines, you got to work two lines. You got a big gap here. If you have a big gap, then you can cheat a little bit because you know that nobody's in it. But if you don't have a big gap, stay right there, make sure it's all clean. But as soon as you have a snap, as you are watching the play, you also have to be there. So just understand that we need to cover that goal line as best we can. Back judges, 10 and end line start. You're not going to have an opportunity to get to the goal line here. The goal line is covered by lots of players. You're not going to come into that, so just start on the end line. And this is kind of one of those progress plays. It's a bit of a reach play. So anybody can help here on reach versus pop. As we look back at this play, let me see if I can't get us a little closer here. We look back at this play, I can tell you that here's our runner, here's our goal line, here's the defender in question. So as we get closer to this, that's the pop. It's so tight. If you're not already at the goal line, it's going to be very difficult for you to determine that. Also, to Sean's point earlier, if you don't take that outside run, we started at the 10. If you don't take that outside angle, then you're going to be cramped up here. And if all of the action is there, you can't see feet, you can't see ball at the same time because you're too tight. So just learn how to take those outside rolls. If the play would have occurred on this side, then we would want, again, to Sean's point, not to have that G pylon there and just have a clear path so we can back up, so we can maintain a reasonable distance and not confine our peripheral vision to the point that we're standing on top of the play. This is change of possession mechanics. So we're going to go ahead and let this run through. Again, our officials are in the right spot. Got a pass downfield, we release. Got an interception, don't get ahead of it. That's the only concern I have here. So when we look back at this, we line up in the right spot. We're covering this line. Head line judge is covering this line. Our back judge is probably a little deep. We want to stay no greater than 23 yards. Then we have a incidental contact. Everybody has a right for the ball. Our official has come down here. Our box has already said should be a sideline warning for this. But once you see an interception, don't be in a hurry to do this. What you want to do is you want to wait. You want to wait right there until that runner gets about here. And then you start pursuing. So give yourself some space, give yourself a viewing angle so that you can have the best opportunity to make the right call. So a little ahead of the ball right there. Then you start to fall back, which is fine, but keep your space so that you can keep your view. And we also do stop. Everybody stops the clock on change of possessions. Those are hard stops. All right, this is just a punt mechanic. I wanted to throw it in here because punt mechanics are different because there's no rush allowed. So since there's no rush allowed, what we would like to see is we'd like to see our line judge come down here and get to at least the first line and maybe even a little deeper. And when we do that, we have to tell our back judge, I'm here. Get on your radio. I'm here. Line judge is downfield. So the back judge may want to rotate a little bit over because our head line judge is gonna hold that line the whole time. So line judge is gonna move downfield. Back judge is gonna shift over. Headline judge is gonna keep the line. Make sure nobody moves. Nobody's gonna rush. They never do. They always go deep. But that'll put us in a position where we're not. Let's just say, had we stayed or just maybe come to here, then we might have people running right at us, and we don't want that. So if the line judge can get deep enough to trail the play like we discussed on the previous play, then I think you're going to be safer, have a better view, and we can have better coverage that way.
Matt,
Yeah.
since you're on punts, I have a question.
Yeah.
The punter is not supposed to kick the ball inside 2 yards behind the center, correct?
No, you can take it right up to the line of scrimmage.
Okay,
You can't receive a snap inside of 2 yards. But once you receive the snap, she can run right up to the line of scrimmage and kick it.
Okay, thank you.
No, I was just wondering, the back judge, I mean, he's completely out of the frame. He's at least 10 to 12 yards away from those receivers. You want him a little bit closer than that, Matt?
Yeah, what I don't want to have happen, let me back this up. What I don't want to have happen, just to have a punt land here on the ground and bounce to here. So I do want our back judges to be at least 10 yards deeper than the deepest official and adjust accordingly if it looks like the ball's going to hit the ground. Because we don't want our back judge behind the ball. We want our back judge, in front of the ball, which means that the ball stays in the area in front of the back judge. So if we get into a situation where a ball's going to bounce, we don't want the back judge too close. I mean, if we're really going to look at where we should line up, if we're doing everything proper,
It'd be like 15
we're
or 10
somewhere
yards,
on
right?
this line, and because we already talked about the line judge is going to be coming down into this area, probably, move over to this hash and work the start of the play from there. But if that ball bounces hard, you got to start backpedaling.
Don't turn your body away and look away from the players and stuff. Backpedal. Always keep the players in your vision in front of you. And hopefully you get behind the ball. If it bounces past you, hopefully you're fast enough to where you can get to it, where you keep all the players in front of you before they go to gain possession.
Yeah. And we do want you to pursue the play too. So don't get caught where you're 30 yards back there and taking a break. So let's just make sure we all stay engaged in the play.
Hey, so Matt, so on that situation like that, the line judge gonna be like what? Like in between halfway, about midfield, in between the back judge, try to cover everything in the middle?
I would say just get yourself past the first line, because the first line is there to provide typically stationary blocks. If there's going to be any cheap blocking, it's going to be somewhere in this area, because that's the mesh point where the kicking team is coming down and the runner is starting to cross through players. So ideally, if we can get you into this area where you've got a view of that action, that's probably your best spot.
Hey Matt, for the headlinesman, do you want them to stay at the line of scrimmage until the ball is returned, the ball carrier goes past them, or do you want him to float down after the ball?
Yeah, the headline judge needs to stay there because no kicking team player can advance until the ball is kicked. So you're there for that purpose. You're also there to cover that sideline. And since you're not working the sideline back to front, you're working it front to back. So this is the sideline you're working. Then you're working this as if you were a side judge or field judge. So you're retreating versus letting people pass you. In this case, if you get pressured with action, then you're going this way and working it to the goal line. And the referee is going to share the goal line with you. So referees, to that point, if you are backpedaling along return, and we want our referees to work toward this side, and hopefully the play passes between you. If it doesn't, then it's going to be the referee's job to rule on the goal line with the line judge on this side. But because the head line judge is going to be retreating that direction, working as a side judge / field judge, then the referee knows that that sideline is covered, so he doesn't need to crash that sideline.
And Matt, question. As far as like who has the responsibility for like the quarterback, like they running up to the line of scrimmage, just say they have a legal forward pass. Who's responsible for that?
Well, if we have our head line judge staying on the line of scrimmage until they crank up to pass, then the head line judge would likely be in the best position for that. So the only reason the head line judge would not make that call is if the quarterback ran to that side where the head line judge was, and the head line judge was forced to retreat. In that case, if the head line judge is forced to retreat, we would hope that our line judge would have a pretty decent look at that across the field. And in short of our line judge, maybe our line judge loses focus or runs downfield, the referee needs to go put his or her feet in the feet of the passer and determine where it was in relationship to the line of scrimmage. All right, so here's something that's not part of tackle football. Because we have no line of scrimmage requirements, other than that the center be on the line of scrimmage to snap the ball, no player has to be on the line of scrimmage other than the center, and there's no going in motion rule relative to people who are on the line of scrimmage. So you can see that there's a receiver over here on the line of scrimmage, and that receiver goes in motion. We don't have a rule that covers that. That means it's legal. The other thing I wanted to bring up on this, talking about compressing your spot, is our referee here is a little too tight to the action. So this arrow indicates where we would like you to be viewing this play from versus where the play is being viewed from.
So basically you want us to 8 to 12 yards as we would do, run it normally in a tackle football game so we can stay consistent?
Sure, yeah, exactly.
Thank you, sir.
So this is a setup, and you can see the yellow line is where the tip of the ball is. So we say the nose is on the 14. That means that the defense can't cross the nose of the 15, if any of that makes sense. I say nose because nose of the ball. So that means 1 yard would be the front edge of the 15. So right now they're fine. But when they lean, they're no longer fine. Immediately flag it, shut it down. Don't wait. Let the flag fly high. Whistle, flag, stop the clock, running toward the referee, give the prelim signal, point toward the defense, go get the ball. Mark it off. Referee makes the announcement. Then you get back to your spot. Head linesman or head line judge, go from here to here so the line judge knows where to stop. And it's a seamless effort. Once we get the ball down, the referee looks the ball's down, wind the clock. We do really need to maintain that 1 yard. And if you look at this play, it ends up being a quarterback sack, and it might be because they had that extra advantage. So we do have to call that when we see it. And if they lean into it, we just got to call it. We can't warn them. We can't tell them to back up. We just make it happen.
Hey, Matt.
Yeah.
Matt, we have a question regarding that scenario you just brought up. You went over in the chat room. You want to answer that right away, or you want to wait till the end of that?
What's the question? You're not coming through too loud, so.
Matt, what it is they're asking if the boxman can tell you if the quarterback passed the line of scrimmage before they threw the ball.
Oh, you got ahead of me on that. Yes, you can use your down box operator for purposes of determining if the quarterback passed. And there's a couple other things that the down box operator may be able to help with, but that's priority number one. If the down box operator has a good look and everybody else vacated, and where that's going to happen, and the video that I have to show later, is when we're in a goal line mechanic and nobody stays on the line of scrimmage. So if we're in a goal line mechanic and everybody vacated, then the down box operator really needs to pay attention to where the passer is relative to the release point of the ball.
So during the preseason, we're helping both sides marking line of scrimmage. So we're constantly saying defense, line it with my foot, move back, or offense, move back. So we're constantly, quote, coaching the players to get in position so they're not in an offside or encroachment position. During the regular season, do you still want us to help them out and say, hey, defense, back it up a yard, or offense, move back? I mean, are we allowed to communicate that to help them to be preventive officiating, or no, none of that?
You are, but in this specific scenario, they were fine. The center addresses the ball. The snap is going to happen, and then they lean into the zone. There's no talking back that. It's too late.
Okay.
So if you get them early, it's fine.
Okay.
If you get them late, it's too late.
Okay.
We do need to make sure that we maintain that 1 yard in its entirety.
And the easiest way to communicate that to the players is you just tell them, watch your alignment. Here's the line. Watch your alignment. You're not telling them to move forward or backwards.
Yeah. And we don't want field officials yelling, I told you so. We don't want to be confrontational. We always want to be polite. We always want to be professional. And when we communicate those types of things, we just communicate them that way. All right, whistle mechanic. This is an excellent example of how we want 3 officials to work their whistle. Back judge, you don't need a whistle, not unless something crazy happens. But we got a whistle in the mouth. We're in a pre-snap scenario. As soon as the ball is snapped, the referee drops the whistle. So we have a clean snap, whistle's out. We have a clean snap, we drop the whistle. That's exactly what we want to have happen here. And that's exactly what does happen. So wing officials and referees, that's the perfect mechanic. The other thing here is what we want you focused on is this quarterback, the arm, and the potential block. So if there's a defender who's trying to block a pass, if it's at the release point right here, they're okay to hit the ball. But if they hit the hand, it's roughing the passer. So at the apex. Now, if we roll this back just a couple of seconds, if we're here, you're not allowed to hit the ball. Period. It's not the release point. If you hit the ball here, it's a foul for batting the ball. And you're probably roughing the passer. But if you get to that release point, it's fine for you to jump up to try to block the ball. If you hit the ball, fine, stay off the hand. I'm not sure if she hit the hand here, but the quarterback did shake her fingers at the end. Very difficult to see in real time, but I could see that he's looking right at it, and he felt like it was a ball hit versus a hand hit. All right, here's a play, and we mentioned this in a previous training tape. We want to encourage the players to get that flag up in the air. Don't just drop it. If they hold the flag up in the air, it tells us, that they pulled it. And in this play, we had 2 different defenders pull flags. And as you can see, we're marking the ball at the 4-yard line. But in reality, because 2 different players pulled flags and the one behind here did not hold up the flag, she just immediately dropped it. And then the second player pulls the flag there. Let me get back to that spot. The second player pulls the flag here. That's why they put it at the 4. Let me see if I can't stop this. Pause. There we go. So they spotted it at the 4, but this girl pulled it when the ball was closer to the 6. So if we encourage the players to hold up their flag, then we can be more accurate with our calls too. So just remind them. It's not a requirement, but just remind them. And they should be trying to give the flag back to the other player. But if she would have stopped here and held her flag up at the 6, I expect they would have adjusted that progress spot. This is a really interesting play, and I didn't quite know what to think of it until I looked at it on video. So this may just be too hard to officiate in real time, but it was an interesting play. So toss up, receiver controls the ball, starts her turn, and what happens is when she starts her turn, the defender reaches in and rakes the ball out. The official rule is an incomplete pass. Now, in tackle football, we're used to all that timing. You could argue that there was a football move, so it should not have been an incomplete pass. But what is a reality is you're not allowed to rake the ball out of a player who is controlling it and made a turn. So this should have been an illegal contact foul against the defense. And had you ruled it that she had it long enough to be a catch, then you also have a score, and you're gonna have options on your PAT. So if you have a penalty on the defense on a PAT, you've got 3 options: 1 from the 1.5, 2 from the 5, or you can take it on the next series. So if the defense is going to set up at the 14, but they have a 10-yard penalty, you're going to go half the distance. The defense starts on the 7. So just there's little bits of options that come into play here. But to me, this was an interesting play because you got to argue, was it a catch? Was it not a catch? But it was definitely a ball rake, and you need to be going for flags here, not the ball, because she comes down, controls it, and turns. So the ball rake is a foul for illegal contact. This is a charge block on Team A. I've got the slot receiver highlighted there. She comes down, the defender owns her space, and the receiver just crashes into her, creating space. Now, if this is a pass play, that would be OPI, but this is not a pass play. This is a running play, so it's a simple illegal block, and that would take the offense back 10 yards. Comes down, defender owns her spot. She never steps off of that left leg, so she still owns this spot, even though there's a little body turn. But the receiver goes directly into her, creates that contact, so that would be a foul on the offense. And this is going to be the line judge's pickup. So we talked about this earlier. Line judge picking up the outside receivers, head line judge picking up the outside receivers, back judge coming in and picking up the middle. So this is really a line judge call. And because we're not looking in the backfield, this should be something that if we do this mechanic right, we're going to be able to pick it up.
Would that be a legal contact or legal block?
Well, to me, illegal contact is something that's a little bit more severe. So to me, this is just a charge block, but it doesn't make a difference. They're both 10 yards if they're on the offense. The difference is if it's on the defense. So an illegal block on the defense is 10 yards. Illegal contact on the defense is 10 yards with a first. All right, this was a play. Oh, and I do want to talk about this. So we got a running back or a slot receiver crossing the front. And a coach called me this week and said, hey, one of our referees said that this is not legal. Well, last year, depending on the distance, it may not have been, but this is legal. There has to be contact. There's plenty of space. There's nobody that's getting hurt by this. So this handoff is legal. What I wanted to bring up at the end of this play was the contact at the end, and you can see there's a big collision there. So if a running back has a straight line, and this is the sideline, then the defender cannot cross into that path unless they have time to establish. And she did not have time to establish here. So this is a foul for illegal contact on the defense because this is forceful. If the defender gets into the path of the running back without establishing, without becoming fully set with time for the running back to avoid that contact, then the running back, if they're in a straight line run, they have the right of way. So what the players need to do is they need to learn to stop short so that they can be on the side and attempt to pull the flag from the side versus creating a collision by jumping in front of a runner that can't stop.
Hey Matt, I have a question on one of my games. In a similar situation, I was told by my back judge that the defender was stationary, but I have the receiver running to catch the ball and crashing right into that defender playing the ball. So the receiver didn't know the defender was there. In that instance, would it just be incidental, or would there be a foul on that?
Without video, I almost always hesitate to say definitively. But if they're at a mesh point and they both have entitlement to the ball, then to me that's, if you can't pin it on somebody, then don't call it. If it's nobody's fault, then it shouldn't be a foul.
All right.
All right, so we've seen a lot of this. So the defender number 9 here is going to take an outside route, and the blocker is going to sidestep into her and create contact. This is a illegal blocking foul. They're not going the same direction. The blocker is moving parallel to the yard lines. The defender is taking a step to the outside to get around, and she slides right into her and creates that contact there. That's a foul on the offense. If she were backing up and maintaining her position as an obstacle, that's fine, but she can't cut in front of the defender who's trying to get around her. Another example of a very similar illegal block. Slides right into her, creates contact with the elbow. Referee properly calls this. So just look at the path of the defender. Defender's trying to get around. Blocker slides right into her, elbow contact into the chest. I know it's not severe contact, but it's contact, and it's an illegal way to create contact, so we do want that called. We want them to stop sliding in front of rushers who are trying to get around them. This is on the center, and I've got the defender highlighted here. The defender tries to cut in after the blocker cuts, to the left. Then the blocker gets into her face and cuts back into her path. And then in addition to that, she does a little chest bump there. So that's foul for illegal contact. That's not the type of stationary upright blocking we're looking for, especially since she chest bumped her during that process. This is a good example of somebody who's moving sideways but does not make contact. So this is not a foul on this blocker. She's not contacting, maintaining space. What I'm looking at here is a receiver who's attempting to catch a ball. You can see that it's not a clear control. The ball's slipping between her arms. If that's the case, the defender has a right to try to catch that ball because it is not in the control of a player. So the defender comes in with equal rights to try to control that ball. There's some collision there, but that's incidental because they both have a right to the ball. The ball is still loose. Interception in the end zone. Now, this is a really interesting play because I was obviously standing here filming it, and I was a little bit fooled by it myself because she brings it out of the end zone, then takes it back in, and we have a flagpole. And the question is, well, first off, this is flag guarding. See the contact with the arm here? Defender's trying to come around, swipe the arm away. That's flag guarding. Now she's in the end zone. She took it there herself, and we got a pop. So
Thanks,
in
Steve.
reality, this should have been flag guarding against the runner, which happened in the field of play, and also a safety as a result of the pull when she took the ball back into her own end zone. So once she comes out of her end zone, touchback's over. She's now responsible for the ball in the field of play, and since she carried it back into the end zone, if she gets caught there, it results in a safety.
Matt,
Matt,
is there an option for that coach? Is there a possibility that coach might want to take half the distance and have that ball on the half-yard line with the team going the other way?
The result of the play is a safety.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, there is no enforcement spot because
Right.
it is a change of possession. So end of zone would be the enforcement spot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Good one, though. Everybody needs to think on these things. So that is what I have. And I know that we're at 8:12, so I exceeded my time limit tonight, my self-appointed time limit by 12 minutes. But thank you for all you guys sticking with me on that.
And that's the end of the video training tape that we had from last night's meeting. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And as always, go out there, make great calls, be great officials, and be professional.